On this day in 1888, Celtic beat Rangers 6-1 in a Glasgow Cup tie at Ibrox in the first competitive match between the clubs. Celtic v Rangers was not a fixture of any great significance in 1888, with the Glasgow Cup tie at Ibrox on the 27th of October attracting only 4,000 spectators, which was a respectable total at the time, but 3,000 less than had watched Celtic's 11-2 win over Shettleston at Celtic Park in the previous round. While Rangers were regarded as one of Glasgow's leading clubs, they had never won a major honour in their 15 years to that point and were not in Queen's Park's class. Relations between Rangers and the Irish Catholic newcomers were cordial, and the Glasgow Evening Post reported later that day, "The Celts were first to make their appearance and were warmly greeted, as were also the Rangers a minute or two later." The big talking point amongst the fans before the match was not the game itself, but the rumoured arrival in Glasgow of the great Preston North End and England forward Fred Dewhurst. Dewhurst was a schoolmaster at Preston Catholic College, a Jesuit school, and was said to have agreed to take up a new post at an unnamed educational establishment in Glasgow. The Glasgow Evening Post reported, "It was openly stated that Dewhurst of the Preston North End had thrown in his lot with the Celtic." This latter hope was blasted, however, as the great player was absent. It may be stated that he is coming to Glasgow at an early date. With no sign of Dewhurst, Celtic lined up Dunning, Gallagher, McKeown, W. Maley, Kelly, McLaren, McCallum, Dunbar, Groves, Coleman, T. Maley. Ibrox Park was then little more than an uncovered 1,200 capacity stand and pavilion on the north side of the pitch, with open terracing on the other three sides around a running track, a little to the east of the current site. Play was made difficult by a strong wind blowing across the pitch, the Glasgow Evening Post writing, "This in a great measure spoiled many of the finer points of the game." Celtic opened strongly and claimed a goal when Tom Maley shot off the post, the ball running along the goal line towards the other post when it was cleared, but it was not given. Rangers scored first on 20 minutes through Wilson, but Celtic replied almost immediately with a goal from Willie Groves. It's not clear when Celtic took the lead, but before half-time, Tom Maley made a strong run on the left and crossed for Mick Dunbar to shoot between the posts. Celtic seemed to drop the pace a little at the beginning of the second half, but Rangers were unable to take advantage, and then a quick burst of goals put the tie beyond them. The Glasgow Herald reported on the 29th of October 1888. "Tom Maley had a throw-in about midfield, and, following the ball up, he sent it in and Coleman sent through. No sooner was the ball set in motion than Tom Maley again distinguished himself by heading the fourth goal amid the greatest enthusiasm of the supporters of the East End club. A few minutes later, Dunbar scored a fifth goal, being 3 points in about 5 minutes for the Celtic. As the end drew near, the Rangers seemed to become disheartened. Kelly made a sixth goal. The Ibrox win made it 17 goals in 2 Glasgow Cup matches for the new club, and it would be almost 5 years before they lost a competitive match to Rangers, the Glasgow Cup final on the 18th of February 1893. Celtic's great rivals in this early period proved to be Queen's Park, and they would meet for the first time in the next round, the semi-final, with the formidable amateurs winning 2-0 at Celtic Park on the 17th of November 1888.